name is Hanley. About an hour or two ago, I killed a man.
A pervert, a homosexual pervert. That will drive me crazy anytime.
Dirac Hanley said no. You will not take advantage of me again.
The victim was lying on his back when he was stabbed.
Well, that's manslaughter or second degree. That's not self-defense.
Their main argument is self-defense. I'm in shock. Judge, the defense and the state have stipulated to the admission of the 911 tape. I would ask for permission to admit and to publish it to the jury.
Sure. It's admitted, and you may publish.
Emergency, Trafton, 8671.
My name is Hanley, Hanley. I live at 5000 Alta Drive. About an hour or two ago, I killed a man.
You killed a man an hour ago?
Yes.
Okay, where did you kill him at?
In my apartment.
How did you kill him?
I think I choked him to death.
Is he still there right now?
Yes, his corpse is lying on the floor.
Okay, and who is this person?
I really don't know.
Where did you meet him at?
He came to my apartment.
Where do you know him from?
He was coming on to me.
He was coming on to you?
Yes. And I don't know what to do. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do. I didn't think I could kill a man. I choked him to death.
Because he was coming on to you?
Yes. I mean, I have a dead man lying in my face.
As I started to walk him to a patrol car parked out in front, he started yelling, "I'm a murderer. I'm a murderer. I'm a murderer. I'm a murderer." He yelled it 2 or 3 times.
Were you asking him any questions at that point?
Not a question at all.
Okay. What happened after that?
Oh, we got to the front of the patrol car, and as I was patting him down, he says, "Just shoot me. Just shoot me. Just put me in front of a firing squad and shoot me." He said, "I choked him out. I choked him out. I put my fist down his throat and choked him out."
You noticed immediately that you could smell a strong odor of alcohol, right?
Yes, pretty much after he started yelling, I could smell it.
Okay. And as an officer with Metropolitan Police Department, you're trained to identify people who've been drinking, correct?
Yes.
And that's part of your duty because you pull people over and you might want to issue a ticket for DUI if you see those things, right?
Yeah, we have arrest for DUI. I try not to.
Okay, an arrest. Do you carry one of those preliminary breath tests with you? Yeah.
No, I do not.
Okay. Do any of the officers that were there carry one of them?
Not that I know of.
Okay. Could you have called and asked for one if you'd wanted to?
Yeah, I'm sure that one of a traffic unit would have one, yes.
Did you do that?
No, I did not.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Step down. Next witness.
When you first came upon the scene, what did you see?
When I looked through the door, I saw the victim on the floor with his head pointed in my direction. just on the far side of a table, kitchen table.
Anything unusual about his head?
There was a kitchen knife stuck out of his right cheek.
Did the apartment have a kitchen?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you, in fact, go into the kitchen and search for evidence there?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you recall seeing a kitchen drawer open?
Yes, ma'am.
Showing you states 42. Is that a picture of the kitchen drawer being opened?
Yes, ma'am.
Specifically looking at the red case in states exhibit 43. A utensil is missing from part of that red plastic case, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And the knife that you said was sticking out of the victim's head, did it look like it fit into that slot?
Yes, it was similar to that slot, and the handle was similar to that handle.
Well, is that the kitchen drawer?
Yes.
Okay. Is it closed?
No, not all the way. It is.
Well, I mean, it's not open like it is in states 42.
Yeah, this photograph was taken after the initial photographs were
Sure.
taken. The first photograph you showed me was the original orientation photos. The original photos show the condition of the place.
Okay, so this was, somebody opened this drawer all the way out like this to take this photo.
That is correct.
And when we saw this photo, then you see what you mark here is the red tray that has the fork and then the knife set.
Yes.
I'm showing you, right. I'm showing you Westwood Arte States Exhibit 55. Do you recognize that as the knife that was taken out of the victim's head?
Yes, I do.
How long is the blade in terms of inches?
8 inches.
And what about the knife in total?
Almost 13 inches, about 12 3/4.
All right, everybody get a look?
Not everybody.
Well, would you like a look?
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay. Well, Mr. Brown, get up.
Well, he wants to see a judge.
Okay, well then,
Just have her, if she could just...
step on the other side. Step by Arthur. That'll be great. And show him the knife.
Come a little closer. No. I can't see the color.
That's okay. I'll tell you about it.
The handle's black, but it's obscured by fingerprint.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Arthur. And are you going to move on to some? What are you going to do?
There's quite a bit more physical evidence, Judge.
Right,
so
so-
if you want to break now, and then we'll do the rest tomorrow morning. That's fine.
And Ms. Brotherson, since it's Halloween, ordinarily I'd be here till 5, but because it's Halloween today and people have things they need to do with family members, I'm going to let everybody go early, and you will have to return with us tomorrow. And tomorrow we will start at 9 o'clock.
God, he won't give up on that. The knife is green thing.
He was slowing down a little though when I showed him the photos.
Yeah. So maybe it just doesn't pick up in photos. Maybe you're colorblind.
I kind of like tonight ending the day with
the
look
knife.
at this large. Did you see how big the
No,
base
I
of the
didn't get
blade
to
was?
Everybody gets to see it but me. No, I didn't get to see it. I kind of leaned over and saw it.
We know it's long. That blade is that thick. It is a big knife.
Yeah.
I kind of went, whoa. But I think showing that to the jury is like, whoa, especially when they see like a normal knife sitting on the counter and a little bread, you know, like a little steak knife there. And
Plus, what's that big, huge knife doing?
laying on a counter.
Even if it's on the counter in the kitchen, he still has to get up from the body, walk around the table, go in the kitchen.
You see,
get
I
it.
asked brother
And-
sitting that.
Yeah, and the odds of it being somewhere else in the apartment are, you know, slim.
Where the fuck did that come from?
It's
well,
open,
it
what,
came
this?
because he didn't say it. She phrased it that way to start. Then he picked up on it and started calling it an open drawer. There was no open drawer.
No.
No chance. All right, enjoy your trick-or-treating.
Thank
Don't take
you.
candy from strangers. Oh, wait a second.
Oh, I checked. I
That's what
looked
it's
up
all
online
about.
to check for the registered sex offenders in my zip code. They all live right near Rochelle.
I was
not near
going to
me.
say your husband's name didn't come up, did it?
Fortunately.
How old is your son now?
He just turned 2.
2. What do you do during your working? You put him in childcare?
Right. He's in a daycare
Daycare.
really close to my house, and he learns so much from there, the things he picks up. I used to have him watched by a woman who would literally just watch him and not really interact with him. So the stimulus that he gets at this daycare is great because you can see the results of the environment that he's been in every day.
And are they fairly good kids that he's with?
Yeah.
That's important.
That is important. My comment to pretty much any new parent, friend of mine, is that I never realized how much my my own parents loved me until I had my own son.
Well, how's your mother?
She's good. She's obviously she looks fantastic, and she's taking care of a woman with Alzheimer's in a beautiful house overlooking the Pacific.
And that's where she lives, too?
And she lives there.
Oh, that's nice.
It's and she comes to visit me in my house.
Yeah.
After I finished college, I bought a house a couple years later, and I'm very proud of that. I think I was only 25.
Yeah.
And
yes, your aunt told me about it.
Oh, okay.
Well, you said your hotel is just across the street from here?
Yeah, it's called the Golden Nugget.
Oh, the Golden Nugget, yeah. Look at the names on, well, what do you call it? Fremont?
Yeah, Fremont District. But you want to hear the good news?
Yeah.
On my $40 blackjack wager last night, $325.
You won?
Yeah.
Take it and run.
Yeah, I know.
Don't go back and give it back to them.
Right.
Yeah, well, I think when I get out of this place, I'm going to get out of Nevada.
Good idea.
I never liked the place anyway.
Yeah.
Well, Michelle, I'm going to let you go home and get some rest, and just keep your fingers crossed.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't turn out right, don't let it tear you down.
And you don't either.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me say goodnight to Paul, and say goodnight to your mom for me.
I will.
Tell her I have the greatest respect for her. Anyway.
I will. Okay.
All right.
Love you, Dad.
Bye-bye. Yeah, Michael.
How do you think the trial's gone as far as fairness, prosecution, defense?
Well, the district attorney, the woman here, she's a regular witch.
What, if any, questions did you ask to determine whether or not he was capable of conducting an interview with you?
Actually, he was quite talkative. Before the interview at the location of the housing project where he lived, he talked with me quite a great deal, actually.
What was he talking to you about?
He's a writer, and I happen to be a writer as well, so we talked about writing.
And this was actually at the crime scene in the lobby?
It was in the lobby of the building where he lives, yes.
You said you spoke with the defendant at the homicide office. Did you actually read him his Miranda rights?
Yes, I did.
What was his response to those warnings?
He stated he understood his rights.
What time was this interview?
About 1 o'clock in the morning.
So this was a few hours after he was apprehended?
Yes.
Time of the interview is 0150 hours. Date is 1/28/2006. Location is interview room number 2 of the Detective Bureau, 3rd floor.
So I went into the bar when this rude knock comes to the door. And that was his nose. And I kind of welcomed somebody coming driving around. I was starting to feel a little relief from this awful pain. Anyway, he brushes in and he's a very controversial, contravenient type of person. Like everything you say is wrong, right? And he started to get me pissed off.
Did he say something?
Maybe he came on to me. I don't know.
Do you recall that?
No. I just wanted that son of a bitch to get civilized and get out. And he wouldn't. And God's honest truth. Next thing I have my hand down his throat.
During the interview, did the defendant ever say that Jerry attacked him?
No.
Did he ever say that Jerry was on top of him and choking him?
No, he didn't.
Did he ever say that he was in fear for his life?
No, he didn't.
At some point, did you leave the interview room?
Yes.
And was the interview considered over at that point?
Yes.
When you came back, did the defendant say anything to you?
He asked me again if he had killed the victim.
What did you say?
I said yes.
What did the defendant do in response?
His reaction was a sigh, dropped his head and said, "That makes me a murderer."
Pass the witness.
Ms. Lim?
Mr. Hanley told you that on a number of occasions he insisted that Spangenberg leave.
Yes,
Duroc tells Spangenberg to get out, and Spangenberg says no.
that's correct. That's what he said.
And at some point, a physical fight ensues.
Yes,
Mr. Hanley told you he tried to punch me and I punched him back.
yes,
That Spangenberg fought vigorously.
yes, he did.
That Spangenberg landed blows on Duroc's arms.
That's what he said.
And when you looked at Mr. Hanley, he did have scratches and red marks and bruising on his arms and his legs.
Yes.
And something that may have been a bite mark, but you don't know for sure.
It was pretty indistinct. I couldn't tell for sure.
I don't have any other questions.
Anything else from the state? Is all your evidence admitted? Sandra?
Judge, I believe that we've checked that all the evidence has been admitted and the state rests. Hey, Curtis. Here's what I wanted to ask you. Who are you guys calling tomorrow?
Tomorrow morning, as I understand it, Andy's calling Consora, followed by the other character guys in California.
You're calling every single one of those?
They're not going to be very long. You don't worry about it.
Oh, no, I know. I'm just trying to get an idea. You're calling everyone you noticed.
Yeah, well, that's the way we do it. I mean, we had a longer list, and then we cut a bunch of people out that we're not calling.
Okay.
You know, like Hannah and Mia and all those people.
Right.
Originally were on our list to go ahead and do it, and then we thought, no, let's just do it best with these people.
What's the word on the defendant?
Well, I'll talk to him, find out what he's thinking.
Oh, yeah.
See if he's been paying attention.
Uh-huh.
And what his thoughts are, and,
Uh-huh.
you know, go from there.
Right. So no info at this time, huh?
I wish I could. Sorry.
Yeah. No surprises?
He's saving that for the defendant. That you've been...
Every witness who testified said, well, it's not in your report, but did the defendant say anything to you? Yeah. You know, after we were done with the tape, he said this. And when I was doing this, he said this. And before we tested this, he said that.
Because he never
That's a
stopped
surprise.
talking.
It's not a surprise because your guy can't keep his mouth shut.
No, that part might be true, but the surprise is we don't ever know about it. It's not in any reports. First time I get to hear it's in trial.
Okay.
You can call all the witnesses and talk to them,
I
Curtis.
know.
You know,
I understand.
that's a surprise.
You get surprised by it, but at the same time, it works on the other side of the coin, too, because we don't know what Dr. Pohl's going to say.
He won't talk to us.
So,
Okay.
all right, guys, we'll see you in the morning.
All right, bye.
Bye.
My behavior in here today has been a conscious effort to impress upon you that I'm not pleased the way it's going.
I know that, but I've known that.
Or the way you've been handled.
Well, it's handled. I don't know what more you want done. When you say that it's in doubt as to whether you killed the person, killed Spangenberg.
Now it is.
Why now as opposed to?
I'll tell you precisely why now.
Okay.
And you should have been working on this.
Well, tell me.
All right. When I faced the police, when I called the police and spoke to them in the office, and certainly immediately after this act, I was in a state of hallucination.
Okay, keep going.
They're basing a lot of their evidence upon what I said.
Yes.
I was hallucinating. You're supposed to have found that out.
Well, how am I going to find that out when you don't tell me you're hallucinating?
You've had two mind experts on
Yeah,
it.
but see, that's the point.
Whatever they've done.
That's the point. They're not concluding you were hallucinating. Now, you did have some, and we've talked about this, and the experts say this, that some of your thought processes were based in delusional understandings, okay? Similar to hallucinating. When, you know, you saw yourself Putting your hand down.
Putting my hand down, exactly.
Clearly
it's impossible.
So I agree with you. But, you know, delusions can come out of nowhere, or they are manipulations of reality. Wow. That's what Dr. Consor is going to help us with. That's a combination of the pain medication you were taking and the alcohol you were drinking. That we can explain. You're not 180, flip-flopping your story, but you're adding and subtracting things. We can prove that there are parts of your first story that don't make a whole lot of sense. The key is, how do we get the jury to adopt what we're saying now without just saying, oh, he's just making it up because he has to defend himself. You have to realize that people are going to have that perception. It's built in to their judgment. So the more we can corroborate, the better.
Well, hard upon, you know, I mean, presentation, I think, is very important, of course.
Yes, it is a presentation. It is. But you can put lipstick on a pig, and it's still a pig.
Right. Yeah.
You've explained the same things to him so many times.
Our next visit, we're just going to bring a tape from our previous visit.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
And play it, because it's going to say the exact same stuff.
Refer to conversation number 775.
He is adding some new crap.
Uh-huh. He cannot testify. I mean...
He can't.
He can't. He can't control himself.
Dr. Consor, right up here to the witness stand. Remain standing, raise your right hand, and please be sworn in.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Have a seat, please. Go ahead, Mr. Brown.
Dr. Consor, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
With respect to his particular statement that he gave, were there any statements that he made that piqued your attention?
It looks pretty clear that there's a lot of blacked out periods. There's periods that he has no memory of. You'll see many, many statements where he begins with, I'm inclined to think that I think perhaps this, or I must have done this. And you can almost see him really trying hard to fill in gaps. And having listened to the tape, I was struck by an incredible level of openness. I mean, even from the 911 statement, he tried and struggled as hard as he could to be as honest as he could with the police. He wanted them to know what happened.
Is there kind of a flow to his thinking as to maybe the order in which things are happening, or whether they're really happening, or something like that?
You know, the other issue is he was using morphine. Morphine's an opiate. Opiates produce dramatic dreams very often. I don't know what was a mixture of these weird dream content and what really happened. He does remember struggling. He remembers being on the ground and trying to get up and things like that. I don't know how accurate all that is. But at one point or another, both men were fighting vigorously. And obviously one man ended up dead in the midst of it.
Now, you can't, based upon your evaluation, obviously it's not your role, and you're not in a position to sit here and tell the jury that Mr. Hanley was acting in self-defense.
No.
Legally.
No, I can't. I can tell you common sense that if two people are fighting vigorously, both people.
This is getting to self-defense without getting to the issue. I mean, it's asking the question in a roundabout way in his response.
I don't think so.
Well.
He said he says he's not gonna, that's not his place. That's the jury's place to make that legal decision.
Right, and then he was going on.
Right.
So the answer he gave us.
Okay.
And then that was it.
Okay.
So that objection sustained.
The following question is, you can't tell us that he was not acting in self-defense either.
No, I couldn't tell you.
Nobody could.
No.
No expert could come in here and say he was not acting in self-defense.
No.
Okay. Now, I want to go through an incident that took place on New Year's Eve, '06. Did he tell you how he felt about that incident?
Yes, he told me he felt shame over that.
Is there anything in his background which would support that type of a reaction?
Well, Dirac was raised pretty strict Catholic in Ireland and had very strong views that were drilled into him by that Irish Catholic background that I don't know that he could surmount.
Views against homosexuality?
Yes.
Okay. It was something, I believe he told the police, it's not right. Okay. What role did the prior incident from New Year's play in the incident as it took place on the 27th?
As a psychologist, part of my role is to evaluate motivations, past experiences, how they affect future experiences. If indeed Mr. Hanley felt violated, I would assume that his actions after he saw this body laying there might be to act out some of his rage on that.
Is there any significance in your review of the particular pattern of the wounds?
I did find it curious that afterwards he proceeded to focus on the head and the throat and the neck area.
In what context did you find it curious?
In the context that he thought that he had had oral sex performed on him while he was unconscious on New Year's Eve.
Judge, I'm going to pass the witness at this point.
All righty then.
Thank you.
Okay, and Ms. Jimenez, you're crossing?
Yes.
All right.
Good afternoon, Dr. Kinsora.
Good afternoon.
It's not uncommon for a person in the position of Mr. Hanley, defendant accused in a criminal case, to, after time has passed from the event that occurred, to minimize what happened.
I guess that, I don't know if that's uncommon or not, actually, but I guess it could be uncommon. I don't see him minimizing a whole lot, though. That's the thing.
Well, he's minimizing his role in it, don't you think? He's indicated that he had to fight for his life. He's had flashes of being in a fight and being in fear for his life, correct?
Correct.
And wouldn't you agree that it's better to be the person who's in fear for their life than it is to be the person who did all the things that the defendant did and wasn't in fear for his life?
I suppose that would be a better position to be in, but, you know, I mean, I guess, yeah.
Okay. Now, the statement that he gave police and the statements that he's now told you later have changed somewhat.
Yes, yes.
He told the police that he had stuck his hand down the victim's throat and now says that he doesn't believe that happened because he doesn't think it's possible.
Well, he just says he doesn't vividly recall. He says he knows he said it, but he doesn't vividly recall actually doing that. And then he had made the comment, I don't know if that's possible, and I had looked at his fist at that point, and I think it's impossible. But that, I'm not an expert on fist shoving. I don't know.
You're not
I don't
a
know what it would take
pathologist.
to put somebody's fist down their throat, you know. But my impression was that seems pretty hard to believe. I think that was part of some weird dream or something that was going on.
But you're not a pathologist.
That's correct.
You're not a medical doctor.
Correct.
Okay. Court's indulgence?
Okay. Is that it? Oh, lots of ripping of paper.
Am I done now?
No, because
Oh, no,
now
okay.
the jury gets to ask questions, Doctor. Okay, here we go. When/where did Mr. Hanley mention that he feared for his life? Do you remember where in the reports you read that?
I don't think in his voluntary statement he specifically said that. In fact, I think I don't think he said specifically, I feared for my life then. I think it was in my interviews with him, one of his flash memories was this intense fear in the middle of a struggle of some kind. And again, he wasn't he wasn't able to really articulate a whole lot more than that. These are just real brief moments of his memory that he's trying to recall.
Okay. Doctor, you may go.
Good to see you.
You look different.
I do? Yeah. Better or worse?
Better.
Oh, thanks. This is Curtis Brown. He's another attorney.
Trust me, I look better too.
Handling
I'm
this
just watching
case.
the pokers.
Oh, okay.
It's Joseph Hashem.
Hey, it's all half of it's bullshit, pal.
Hi, Jack.
We were going to head down to your place next.
There's a chair right there.
I'm Andrea. I'm the one that you've been talking to on the phone. This is Steve. You spoke to him as well. And Curtis. Oh, boy. You got all these knickknacks. What are we going to get in a room for?
Hey, I accumulated all this and it's better than an empty apartment.
Oh, yeah.
At least I talk to my animals when I go broke. See, I play poker.
Oh, do you
poker
play?
and crap. I was a dealer. Man, I love to gamble and drink. That's the only reason I'm in Vegas.
Which is your game?
Texas Hold'em and dice. I bet against the 9.
Yeah.
I bet against the 9. 300 to 200. You know, I'm broke in 1 hour.
Sure.
And then for 30 days, I suffer.
You should pick a new number.
I'm a 9 man. Against, you know, wrong way. Against the 9. 3 to 2.
Pick a different drink.
Oh, vodka. Grey Goose.
Grey Goose. Grey Goose is a good drink.
And scotch.
Yeah, Grey Goose on the rocks, or do you drink it straight?
Straight up, man.
Yeah. Lime? Little lime?
Nah, I don't want to kill it.
Let the rocks melt a little?
I don't remember coming home half the time.
Now, when you were with Rack, what would be the drink of choice?
Well, he drank bourbon whiskey.
He ever complained to you about this back injury or the sciatica injury or this just pain he would have in his back or legs?
Yeah, he did.
I knew that he had a lot of pain in his back. He loved to build shelves. Excuse my voice, I had throat surgery.
They screwed him up.
Yeah, they messed me up. His back hurt him a lot.
Now, Jack, in the time that you've known him, one of the things that we're interested in is, had you ever known him, did you ever see him, observe him, or know him to be violent at all?
Never, not once.
And if someone were to ask you your opinion, basically it would be, do you have an opinion as to Mr. Hanley's propensity for violence? Would be similar how the words would go.
I would say 0.
Okay.
Absolutely 0.
Yeah, he put up with me.
Yeah, that's
Because when I'm drinking.
Is that right?
That's right.
No, not violent. No. I want action.
Yeah.
I want to go out and play and go to. He wouldn't go to no bars. Wouldn't go to no casinos.
You know what? I think your number is 6, but when you get drunk, you think it's 9. If you switch to 6, you might win.
No, it's 6 to 5 on a 6. I want my money. 3
I know. 3 to 2 is much better, but it's killing you.
You're a gambler?
I play poker.
Oh, I was playing pinochle at the age of 5. Pinochle.
Now, if we were asking you the similar questions that I was asking to Jack, I mean, a lot of times the questioning would go very similar to how we were just discussing.
Christ, if he cursed like I do, oh my God. I mean, this guy was like, he drove me crazy. You know, he was a good shooter. No casinos. I begged him to take me to the casino. I had the car. He wouldn't take me.
Yeah, right.
No, you don't gamble, Bill.
I'm very curious as to what really happened in that apartment.
Well, a lot of people
because
are.
I can't imagine Rack being violent unless something was.
The guy attacked him.
Yeah, unless something happened where he was.
He would be the last person that I would think that would do this.
Right.
The last person in this whole building. They would have said it would be me or him or anybody else. Not Rack. Not Rack. Are they going to check my record?
Oh, they might.
Not here. Not here.
They might run it.
Not here.
They're not going to waste their time with you. But, if you have arrests or something and they ask him, say sure.
Yeah, 2 months ago, I public drunk again. Coming out of casino. Public drunk.
And resisting arrest.
And resisting arrest. I don't remember. I woke up in a holding cell, man. They let me go after a couple days. Oh, that was terrible. That's a Grey Goose. Oh, God. And here I was a high roller in Wynn's Casino, right? And then I wake up in jail. That's bad.
That's from the penthouse to the outhouse,
right?
Real fast.
Get to the point.
Sometimes getting the journey to the point's half the fun. That guy's great.
Remain standing, raise your right hand, and be sworn in.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this action shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Have a seat, please.
Thank you, Mr. Matuza. Do you know an individual by the name of D. Rack Hanley?
Yes.
Do you see Mr. Hanley here in court?
Right there.
The one in the middle, or the?
Right there with the sweater.
Okay, Judge.
The record will reflect the identification of the defendant. Go ahead.
How is it that you know Mr. Hanley?
I met him almost 9 years ago. St. Vincent.
Okay, so
We
you
had
were
the
together.
new apartments.
Okay, what I'm going to ask you now is going to be very specific. I'm going to ask you if you've been around Mr. Hanley and observed him when he was sober.
Yes.
Have you been around and observed Mr. Hanley when he was intoxicated?
Yes.
Do you have an opinion as to whether Mr. Hanley is a violent person when he's sober?
He's not violent.
Do you have an opinion as to whether he's a violent person when he's intoxicated?
Not violent.
That's all I have, Judge.
Okay, thanks. Ms. Tanasi.
Thank you.
Do you know someone by the name of Earl Jerome Spangenberg?
I don't know who he is. If you give me a picture, maybe.
But you've never seen him around the apartment complex?
No. I don't know who he is.
How long have you lived at Jamestown
6.5 years.
And you weren't there the night of the incident on January 27th?
No.
So you don't know what happened?
All I heard was the next day.
So you don't know whether the defendant was drunk or not drunk?
No.
Okay.
That it?
The only thing I had to follow was... Were you drinking, buddies?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
but
all.
Never in a bar, only an apartment.
Okay. Thank you, Judge. That's all we have from Mr. Matusa.
All right, Mr. Matusa, thank you. You can step down. Thank you for coming. Next.
Jack Treadway?
I'm sorry, give me the name.
Jack Treadway. Thanks, brother. He's crying. Do you know an individual by the name of B. Rack Hanley?
Yes, I do.
Do you see Dirac here in court?
Yes, I do.
Now, how long have you known Dirac?
It seems like forever because he's such an interesting person, but it seems like approximately 2 years from today.
Have you observed Mr. Hanley when he's sober?
Yes.
Have you been in his company or observed him when he's intoxicated?
Yes.
Do you have an opinion as to whether he is a violent person when he is intoxicated?
Yes, I do.
What is that opinion?
Absolutely non-violent.
Okay. And do you have an opinion as to whether he's violent or non-violent as a sober person?
Yes, I do.
What is that opinion?
Absolutely non-violent.
That's all I have. Oh, you're friends with Dirac?
Yes, I am.
You're here on his behalf as his friend?
Yes, I sure am.
Thank you, Judge. That's all I have.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Mr. Treadway, you said you've known the defendant for almost 2 years?
Yes.
And you consider yourself a friend?
Yes, I do.
Would you consider yourself a good friend of the defendant's?
Yes.
And you know he's here on trial for murder, right?
He's on trial because someone got killed.
He's on trial for murder. You know he's on trial and the charges are murder?
The charges are murder.
You weren't part of the incident on January 27th of 2006, were you?
No.
So you weren't inside the defendant's apartment that night?
No.
You don't know what occurred that night at all?
Not at all.
Okay, nothing further.
No questions, Judge?
Thank you, sir. You may step down. Thank you for coming. Arthur.
Thank you. Are you okay? Steve will take you back, okay?
That's it. We're doing a good job. But on our case, we're rated hard. This thing's woman intelligence. Resting, okay? Not just trust me on this.
Your Honor, that would conclude the presentation of the defense evidence at this time.
So you're resting?
We are resting.
Okay.
You got run-in instructions, which are pretty tough. I know that because I just had them in my last trial.
Why are you laughing?
Dirac wanting to tell.
I will be taking this
I just
stand.
feel the jury wants to hear from me.
Fucking goddamn right they do. They want to hear you.
Yeah, but I mean, we've explained to them, it doesn't matter. He doesn't remember it. It's not going to suddenly come back to him.
There's nothing
right?
he can add. Nothing he can add.
Okay. Not first. It's not first.
That's a not first.
And then, let's see if there's any other ones here.
They're going to give the example of the husband sees his wife.
In bed.
And what you're going to say in there is, let's think about that for a second. He's intending to kill her. He's grabbing a gun, and he wants very much to kill that person. We're just saying that because something happened that makes his brain so wacky, and he can't consciously differentiate consequences, right, wrong, any of that, that we call that a heat of passion. And if the act occurs within the heat of passion, it's a manslaughter.
I think we have an honest shot at manslaughter.
Well, I do too.
I mean, with his age and the circumstances.
I think the jury's going to think it's a second. I don't want them settling on a second. It just, God damn it.
But should I structure it around the instructions, or should I structure it around the evidence? I mean.
All right, where do we win our case? Do we win our case with the instructions?
No, I know.
Do we win our case with the facts?
Right.
No, because they're going to get caught up in the minutia. I guarantee you, they're going to get caught up in the minutia. So if we have a generalized big picture that's more focused on the emotional aspect of this case and less on the minutia, that's a better chance for us.
Right.
These trials were won and lost on emotion.
Yeah.
There is no evidence at all that the victim was trying to kill D. Hanley that night, that he was trying to hurt him, that he was trying to cause him great bodily injury. None. The only thing we have is what the defendant told Dr. Consora 4 months later. We hear absolutely no mention of this during the hour interview with the detective. Didn't say he was in fear for his life. Doesn't say the victim was trying to rip off his clothes, or he's trying to rape him, or he's trying to give him oral sex, or he's trying to, you know, touch him in a sexual way, or he was trying to force him down or choke him. Nothing. In fact, he says, I don't know why I did it. Maybe he came on to me. I don't know. Because the defendant was thinking back to what happened at New Year's Eve. And just because it may have happened at New Year's Eve doesn't mean the victim was trying to come on to him again on January 27th. How do we know that the defendant had the intent to kill Jerry? We know that Earl Jerome Spangenberg was laying on his back on the floor of this man's apartment, incapacitated. The threat was over. Even if there was a threat to his life, it was over when the victim was on the floor on his back. The defendant said, no, I'm not going to let that happen because I hate this man so much for what happened at New Year's. And I'm offended by that. And you disrespected me. So you know what? I'm going to try to gouge your eyes out. But since I can't do that, I'm going to walk over to the kitchen. I'm going to open up a drawer. I'm going to go into my carving set and get my 13-inch knife. Picked it up, closed the door, walked back over to where the victim was laying, and he stabbed him. Over and over again, more than 20 times. Think about that. Think about how long it takes to stab, 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 stab. That's 4. Think about more than 20. If you have an abiding conviction that this defendant murdered Earl Jerome Spangenberg with the intent to kill him, and he deliberated and he premeditated before he stabbed him, then he's guilty of first-degree murder with use of a deadly weapon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jerome Spangenberg showed up at his door, came to him. He rushed in. And that night, Hanley said no. Not again. I will not be taken advantage of again. He told Jerry Spangenberg to get out, to leave, to go away. And what was Jerry's response? I'm not gonna take your fucking orders. The state makes this circular argument about not knowing really how drunk Hanley was that night. They don't want you to believe him when he says that he drank the whole bottle, or that he took the morphine, or that he was very intoxicated. They want you to believe him when he says things like, I hated him so much I gouged out his eyes. I stuck my whole fist down his throat. Believe him when he says those things, but don't believe him when he says he drank a whole bottle. When he says that Jerry Spangenberg sexually assaulted him on New Year's Eve. And frankly, if you were going to make it up, wouldn't he have made up a better story? Maybe a story with a little more detail, a story about how this man, Jerry, held him down and forced himself upon Mr. Hanley. He didn't do that. He told them what he remembered happening to him and how that made him feel. Dirac Hanley is a 72-year-old man. His life has been full of many losses, but also of many wonderful things. A daughter who loves him, friends who care about him. Don't let this be the last chapter in his life. Thank you.
So Andy did a really good job of not arguing angry, like Summer, because arguing angry was not where our case was. Our case was sympathetic and compassionate and, oh, look at this, you know. Because we knew they were going to argue angry.
Your table looks different when you look over at this guy. He doesn't, you know.
If I was married to you, I'd carry some of your stuff.
If you were married to her, you'd look about 20 years older.
Crazy.
You get some lunch?
Yeah.
I just hope they realize that 3 weeks of cooling off is not, that even if he did come on to him, he doesn't have a right to freaking kill him.
It's so frustrating not to know what really happened, you know?
I know.
I mean, we think we know what really happened, but it's frustrating not to be able to argue to them what really happened.
Hi, Amia, it's Andrea. They have a verdict. Yeah. No, we have to walk over. Yeah, so go ahead and head over, get everybody together if you can. Okay, we'll see you there. All right, bye.
Is that all we need to call?
Yep, she's got everybody. She'll get everybody together.
Good deal.
Arthur, bring in the jury, please. Thank you, Arthur. We're back on the record, State of Nevada versus Hanley. And juror number 4, it's my understanding that the jury has reached a verdict.
Yes, we have.
Okay, hand Arthur the forms, please. Thank you. Thanks, sir. That's good. All right, Madam Clerk, would you please read the verdict out loud?
District Court, Clark County, Nevada. The State of Nevada, plaintiff versus Dirac Adrian Hanley, defendant. Case number C-221038, department number 5. Verdict. We, the jury, in the above entitled case, find the defendant Dirac Hanley as follows. Count 1, guilty of second-degree murder with use of a deadly weapon. Dated this 3rd day of November 2006, juror number 4, foreperson.
All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, thank you on behalf of all of us here for your time and attention.
Take those badges off. Leave them in your chair first.
Sentencing date, Ms. Clerk.
It'll be December 21st, 8:30.
Thank you. We'll see you then. I don't know if the attorneys want to stick around. I will go back and talk to the jury and see if they are interested in talking to the attorneys. If you want to wait a few minutes, I'll be right. I'll send Arthur out and let you know.
Sure.
Thank you. We'll be in recess.
Pleasure, you guys.
Yeah, it was really nice trying it with you.
It was nice to do a trial against you. It wasn't, you know.
Do you want to get you again?
I'm 0 for 2.
And we had a
I mean,
shot
I
at
think-
first.
Yeah.
But we didn't expect
I mean,
it.
the crime was a first, but I'm not unhappy with a second.
Well, because, and plus, I think justice was done like Dave Stanton was talking to us about.
Right.
That's a death sentence for him. First or
Right.
second, it doesn't matter. He will die in prison. Very happy. I was trying not to look so happy when I was sitting there because I didn't want, it's just not respectful, you know, for his family too and everything.
Of course not.
But I wanted to jump up and down and.
Yeah.
And it's not respectful to Curtis and Andy too.
Yeah.
And I felt bad when she was like, when I was like, oh, it's good doing a trial with you again, Andy. And she's like, yeah, 0 for 2. But I was like, yeah, but you're a defense attorney. I mean,
defense attorneys aren't.
You have to get used to
supposed
losing.
to
That's yeah. I
win.
mean, even Pete Christian.
I mean, not supposed to, but you know what I mean. They're not supposed to.
No.
Okay, so they understand what happened?
Well, I know there are a lot of different options they could choose.
The second degree is technically, you know, it's not a first degree premeditated deliberated homicide, but for it doesn't really matter because it's still a significant amount of prison. It's 20-year minimum. And so the only positives I can think of is he's not going to be drinking.
Right.
He's going to be getting 3 square meals.
Yeah.
He's not going to like the environment a whole lot. He'll adapt it. It seems like maybe he has a reconnection with his daughter that might help and benefit it a little bit personally. So, you know, it's horrible that this kind of event has to take him to that kind of environment, but when we're stuck here, we got to look at some of the positives.
The Sapphire shooting is the latest in a long line of bar and club shooting. Killed a passenger and injured another man, both young Asian men.
Police are looking for 3 people, at least one of them caught on surveillance video, firing a barrage of bullets into a car and killing a man.
We have video to show that we didn't do anything wrong.
He knows the car's coming back. He's already ready to shoot.
6 shots, right? 6 shots. You couldn't see it by watching the video? You want to play it again for me?